Hello everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel. This is Mr. H. So in this video, you will be learning how to find the slope of a straight line. First, we need to define slope. Slope is the measure of the steepness of the line. It is also called gradient. Slope is represented by small letter m, and it is calculated by using the formula m equals to change in y over change in x equals to y sub 2 minus y sub 1 over x sub 2 minus x sub 1. So where are we going to get all these values for y and x? So remember that in order for a line to exist, so we need at least 2 points. So it's gonna come from point 1, which has coordinates of x sub 1 and y sub 1, and also another point, which will have coordinates of x sub 2 and y sub 2. So whatever the coordinates is or are of the points, then we just simply substitute it to the formula to calculate the slope. So for the next part, so we have part A. So identifying the slope of a line graph. So if the line graph is given and you are asked to find the slope, if it's positive, negative, so on and so forth. So you can actually identify the slope by just looking at the line itself. All right, so for the first scenario, if for number 1, so as you can see, you have here the Cartesian plane. So you have the y-axis and the x-axis, which is the horizontal number line. And you have line L. Okay, so if the line is rising from left to right, the slope is positive. So all the lines on the coordinate plane that rises from left to right, automatically the slope is positive. Now for the second example, you have here a line L, that actually falls. So if you have a line that's falling from left to right, the slope will be negative. So keyword fall from left to right. So you have negative slope right there. So imagine you are from the top of a hill and you're going down from up. So you're going downhill. So that's negative slope. Now the third example is, you can see here a vertical line. So vertical line, so you have line L right here for number 3. So that's line L. So if you see a vertical line on the grid, definitely the slope is undefined. So what do we mean by undefined in mathematics? So this is a very popular word. So undefined means something is incalculable. So there's no definite value for this. So you have, for example, 5 divided by 0. Definitely the answer is undefined. You cannot solve for this. Say negative 11 divided by 0. So if you're dealing with fractions that have a denominator of 0, whatever number is on top, say it's 1000, definitely it's incalculable. So that means undefined. So that's for the third case. And for number 4, as you see here, you have line L, which is actually a horizontal line. So every horizontal line on the grid, automatically the slope will be 0. So you can have like 0 divided by 5, which is 0. 0 divided by negative 11, which is 0. 0 divided by 1000, which is 0. Which is technically the opposite of the third case, which is undefined, right? Okay, so whenever a graph or the line graph is given and you are asked to identify what the slope is, if it's positive, negative, undefined, or 0, just remember these 4 cases. That's for our part A, if the line graph is given. And for part B, if you are given 2 points. So like what I mentioned earlier, in order for a line graph to exist, or in order for you to see line graph on the grid, you need to have at least 2 points. So we have our first point and second point. So first point has coordinates of x sub 1 and y sub 1. Second point, you have coordinates of x sub 2 and y sub 2. So if 2 points are defined, definitely you can apply this formula in calculating the slope of the line passing through 2 points. So you have y sub 2 minus y sub 1 over x sub 2 minus x sub 1. You just simply plug in the values of the coordinates from point 1 and the coordinates of point 2. So my advice for you is, in order for you not to get confused and not get lost and not get incorrect answer, so my advice is for you to label the points. So decide which will be your first point and label it x sub 1, y sub 1. And second point, coordinates will be labeled x sub 2, y sub 2. Then proceed with the calculation, applying the formula. Okay, so to better understand how to calculate the slope of a line passing through 2 points and applying the formula, here's the first example. Calculate the slope of the line passing through the points 1, negative 3, and 9, comma 13. So actually for this one, you can, okay, so let's draw for us to visualize. Okay, so you have the y-axis here and x-axis. So for your first point, for example, is this one. 1, comma, negative 3. And we know that 1, comma, negative 3 is on this quadrant, right? So 1, for example, this is 1. And this is negative 3. So this is our first point. 1, negative 3. And for the second point, we have 9, comma 13. So both of the coordinates are positive, right? So we are expecting that this point is going to be located somewhere here. So if that, for example, this is 9, and say, for example, this is 13, positive. So our point is somewhere here. So I'm not actually plotting it on the exact location. So just to show you. So if you have those 2 points plotted, definitely just connect the 2 points And you can create a straight line right there. Yeah. So if we're going back to the the part A, the first part of this video. So the line actually rises from left to right, correct? So from this, we can actually say that, oh, the slope will be positive because the line is rising from left to right. So we're expecting for a positive slope. Now, in order for us to prove that, we need to apply the formula right here, which is y sub 2 minus y sub 1 over x sub 2 minus x sub 1. So earlier, I gave you a tip. So for you to not get confused, it's safe to label the coordinates. So if I'm going to be using 1 comma negative 3 as my first point, so definitely I can label this x sub 1 and y sub 1. And my second point is 9 comma 13, so this will be my x sub 2 and y sub 2. Now, if you want, you can actually interchange the point. So if, for example, you want to use 9 comma 13 as your first point and 1 comma negative 3 is the second point, it doesn't matter. So you will get the same value for the slope. But just remember to label so that when you plug in the values to the formula, you won't mess it up. Okay, so let's proceed. So the formula is y sub 2 minus y sub 1 over x sub 2 minus x sub 1. So we have m equals to y sub 2. Let me just write down the formula. X sub 2 minus x sub 1. And then I will carry on with substitution. So y sub 2 is 13 minus y sub 1 is negative 3 over x sub 2 is 9 minus x sub 1 is 1. And after substituting the values, then just simplify. So 13 minus negative 3. So we remember the rule. If you have two negative, you can change it to positive. So it's going to be 13 plus 3. We have 16 over 9 minus 1, which is 8. So we have 16 divided by 8 is 2, positive. Therefore, the slope of the line passing through points 1 comma negative 3 and 9 comma 13 is 2, which actually is correct by observation, right? So we have a straight line rising from left to right, which tells us positive slope. Example number 2. Calculate the slope of the line passing through negative 5 comma 7 and negative 5 comma negative 2. So again, if we draw and plot the points on the grid, so for example, this is our first point, second point. So first point is negative 5 comma 7. So negative 5 comma 7 is actually here in quadrant 2. So negative 5 and 7, for example, this one. That's the first point. And second point actually is negative 5 and negative 2. So negative 5 and negative 2. So negative 5 for example, this is -2, for example. So -5, -2 is here. And it's actually a vertical line. And going back to what we discussed earlier, if you have a vertical line, what is the slope? That's correct. The slope will be undefined. For every vertical line on the coordinate plane, the slope of that line will be undefined. Okay, so for us to prove that the slope is really undefined, so we use the same formula. M for slope equals to y sub 2 minus y sub 1 over x sub 2 minus x sub 1. So remember to label the coordinates x sub 2 and y sub 2 and plug in. So M equals y sub 2 is -2 minus y sub 1 is 7 divided by x sub 2, which is -5, minus x sub 1 is also -5. Then simplify. You have -2 minus 7 is -9 over, oh, so look at the denominator here. You have here minus minus, right? So negative times -5. -1, -5 multiply, so it will give you positive. So now it gives us like -5 plus 5. So we know that -5 plus 5 is 0. So -9 divided by 0 is undefined. You cannot calculate that. Okay. So the answer that we got is -9 over 0, which is undefined. And that actually, is proven based on the drawing that we did. Now, for the challenge question, it's your turn to answer this question. Find the slope of the line passing through -3, 4, and 4, -1. So grab your pen and paper and answer this question. And remember to type in and leave your answer in the comment section below. And please also subscribe to my channel. It's Math Hub 3938, or you can just search Math Hub by Mr. H or MH squared. Thank you very much for watching.